Hey everyone, this is Andrew from GembaRed, and today we're going to be taking a look at this screw-in light bulb for red light therapy. These are becoming increasingly popular on the market, these screw-in light bulbs. You can find them on Amazon now, you can find them on eBay. Price range is only 30 bucks, 40 bucks. So they seem like a really clever hack to get your foot in the door, get some red light therapy benefits. I could have made these a long time ago, but I got this one over a year ago, direct from Alibaba, just to test it out, and it just didn't meet my standards for quality, for safety, for practicality. And we'll see, I spent a lot more time developing this. This is my GembaRed Beam, and we're going to kind of compare and contrast, like all the extra work that went into the GembaRed Beam, and why I chose to make this as opposed to this. And you can see, it's lightweight, it's easy to maneuver. You can see how it's easy to kind of aim at your face or aim at whatever you want. So it's great for like a target light, great for a portable light. It's lightweight and convenient. Again, I think it's a pretty decent hack as long as you know how to use it and use it well, and you understand there's a lot of pitfalls with this type of light. Already you can see kind of the form factor of the GembaRed Beam. It's much more slender once you fold it up, so it's easier to slip into my bag. I do a lot of travel, so this is great just to slip in my bag and off we go. This one's kind of more of an awkward three-dimensional form factor, but it's still, lightweight and easy to transport if you have the room for it. One of my biggest things with this is kind of the safety issues. And like I said, you can get this on Amazon, eBay. Doesn't matter. All the brands. There's S-Grow, which is some sort of grow light company that modified their grow lights to have the 660 nanometer and 850, the invisible bulbs here. They just modified their own grow lights and popped in the right LED bulbs, and now they're selling it on Amazon. There's ABI, which also is just a grow light company that's starting to make more of these with the 660 and 850 nanometer red and near infrared. But all the flaws that I'm going to point out here, they apply to all the different brands. I'm not going to test every single brand. I got this one direct from Alibaba years ago before they start to hit Amazon. But again, they all come with this cord, a nice red kind of threaded cord. Kind of a rubbery kind of grip, because they kind of tell you, oh, you can grab it by here and do your red light therapy, and it's all kind of great. But like I said, my biggest thing here is that you're going to hold it around the stem or hold it around the base, and there's this bulb socket here that if it becomes loose and you get your finger in there, you could electrocute yourself. And so a lot of people, they kind of are shopping around for red light therapy. They only see the benefits. You only see the upside. You think, oh, this is going to really help me just take my next step down my health journey. It's going to help me with X, Y, and Z. But you kind of ignore the practical usage of it. Like some people are asking me, how does it compare? I'm like, just, you got to look through it and walk through your mind how you're going to use it, how you're going to install it, where you're going to put it in your house, and does it make sense the way it's designed? Otherwise, you're going to really fall into these lures, and you're going to get a big clunky panel that takes up a lot of space on your wall or your door, and it's going to flop around on your door every time you walk around, all because you bought into all these benefits. But some of these companies, they'll make all these wild claims to say, oh, we're clinically effective LEDs, we're medically effective. This is just marketing. Nobody uses a modified grow light in a clinical setting. I've read a lot of studies. None of them use this. So if they say something like FDA approved or clinically whatever, you got to look at it. It's not clinically anything. So that's just marketing. So anyway, I don't know if you've been taught the lesson on how to properly change a light bulb, but they tell you got to turn off everything, maybe even unplug it, maybe even turn off the breaker, and you unscrew the light bulb, and they always show you like the picture of the guy who's unscrewing the light bulb, and he zaps himself and he falls off his ladder, and it's a whole mess, right? And that's what I keep seeing. You got this, there's two contacts in there. If you get your finger in there, you'll zap yourself. And I've zapped myself a couple times in my life, and it doesn't feel good. So I would like to avoid that in the future. You know, you'll probably survive, which is great. I survived. And, but, you know, I see people waving around and they're all happy doing red light therapy, but you got your hand near a power plug. And I was like, why are you doing that? So, you know, that's the first thing. Is like, you really don't want to be messing around. You don't want kids that's going to accidentally unscrew it and zap themselves. You got to be really mindful. Make sure it's tug and snite. Maybe wrap some tape over it. I don't know. Do something to protect yourself, right? So that's my first thing, is just the raw basics of it. You're holding this by the stem, and we're going to talk about EMFs, that you're holding it while you're waving it around, you know, and they encourage you to do this. But, and then at the same time, a lot of these companies, they say, oh, use it 6 inches away, so you're outside the EMF field, but you're holding it right where there's the primary EMF source. So why, you know, you're going to be 6 inches away for your treatment area, but, you know, unless you get a nice little way to prop it up. And that's the thing, why I went with this is intrinsically designed. You can't, you know, you can't mess it up. There's no holes, nowhere for you to shove your fingers and get zapped. It's actually fully enclosed, so it's actually dust proof and water resistant. So it's inherently, you know, really safe, so you can't, you know, get in there and try to zap yourself. And again, you don't have to hold it by the stem where we're going to show is a bunch of EMFs. It comes with its own stand, and you just prop it up and you do your thing. So that's great. And we'll see that this is negligible EMF even if you use it very close. So let's go into that. Let's talk about the EMFs. Again, this is an electrical device. We got to think about electric fields, magnetic fields, and I've got the right test equipment to check that out. So we've got my electric field meter here, the gigahertz ME3030B. Again, really high quality, professional grade kind of instrument. And we're going to see, you know, just in this room, it's about 10 volts per meter. You know, there's nothing, not too much going on. But then when we hold it up to the light, it starts clicking a lot, right? The click kind of tell you what it is. I'm not sure if you can read what's going on. The last I checked, yeah, it's about 500, maybe 550 volts per meter. That's the electric field. And that's right on the surface, and that's why they say, okay, maybe if you're 6 inches away, it's negligible. It's less than 100, you know. So it's better, right? Okay, but then you're holding it on the stem, and you can hear it clicking a lot. You're holding it up here, and what's it going to say? Again, it's going to be around 400, 600. You know, it's going to be pretty bad. So you're going to be holding it up in this stem, and you're irradiating your hand with all these volts. So even if you try to use it properly, you can't. It's just inherently a bad design. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. That's why I would never use it or promote it. You know, some people are okay with that. Again, now we have the magnetic field reader, the milligauss meter from Alpha Labs UHS2. It's really great 3-axis milligauss meter, simple to use. And again, we're going to hold it up here, and you know, I'm getting about 8. Sometimes I get about 9 or 10, but it's showing about 8 right now. And again, if we hold it up to where you're going to hold it on the stem, it jumps up to 100 milligauss, over 100, right here. Let's see if you can see it. Right? 80 milligauss, even, you know, where your hand's going to be. Oh, now it's up to 200. So you see that 200? Yeah, 170. Are you seeing any of that? So 170 milligauss, 200 milligauss, 100, doesn't matter. That's a lot. That's more than I see in most high-powered lights, let alone a little screw-in light bulb. You know, again, just to quickly contrast, the GembaRed Beam, we'll hold it right up here. It's showing me 0.4. I don't know if you can read it. 0.4. Maybe a little bit more in the driver area, if you can read it. But even in the driver area, what's it saying? 1.7. Right? So we're going from 1, at most 1. It's under 1. 1 to 100. That's a huge difference. I mean, you don't want to be around 100 milligrams. Like, that's just insane. It doesn't make sense. We'll quickly go back to the E field on this. Again, this is a nice sturdy metal case. It's grounded, so electric field is not an issue. Not too much is going on. It reads about 80, but again, you're not going to be, you're normally not going to be touching it, so it's not too bad. It's less than 40 around the metal case. So again, but once you're a couple inches away from this, it's there's nothing going on. You're reading the ambient, you're reading the air. There's nothing to see. But you can check my video review on the beam itself for more of that. So okay, so EMFs are a problem, safety's a problem. Maybe you're okay with that. Okay. Let's look at the intensity, the irradiance, the watts per meter squared, the milliwatts per centimeter squared, the power density. That's the power output coming from your bulbs. This is the measure used in almost all the scientific studies to tell you what's the power of your laser or LED. It's a standardized kind of unit. It's a great way to kind of compare, all the different devices, as long as you have the right equipment. What I see is a lot of these bulbs are on Amazon or whatnot. They're saying, oh, they're over 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared at the surface. And it's 200 milliwatts per. That's huge. If you press it right on your skin, you can get a good dose in 30 seconds, a minute. Who cares about EMFs? It's only 30 seconds to do a dose. But that 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared doesn't even make sense to me. Like, it's so high, you'd feel immediate heat, you'd be blasting your eyeballs. Doesn't make sense. So where is this number coming from? Well, it comes from the solar power meters. I've written a couple blogs about this, comparing solar power meters, and they're reading falsely high. So let's look at a couple of these. So I've got the 10 Mars solar power meter. Again, this is one of the most popular ones. I've seen all kinds of manufacturers use it. Bloggers use it. I've seen Ari Whitten in his book on photobiomodulation. He uses this, but it reads falsely high. You can't trust the numbers out of this. So we're going to hold it up. I'm going to do it right on the red bulb, and as soon as I get close, it's going to max out. Right, I don't know. And I can hold it. I'll do a hold here. We'll do the max hold right on the red bulb, and we're maxed out. So it says over limit, OL. I think that's what it means, OL. The maximum for these is 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared. So that's why you can claim over 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared, because it maxes out a solar power meter. That's it. And we can do this, we can repeat this on the TES 1333. Again, this is super popular. I've seen a lot of Chinese companies using this when they try to advertise. And, again, I can max it out pretty quickly on just the red bulb. Maxed out. I'll hold it for you. You can see over limit, OL, same thing. Again, it's over 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared. That's where these numbers are coming from. But it's just nonsense. The numbers are nonsense. Megger PVM 210. Another one. I've seen SaunaSpace using it, even though it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be using. You shouldn't use a solar power meter on a hot incandescent bulb. You should use better equipment. So anyway, we'll max it out again. Hold, OL, right? It's pretty cool. So it's over 200. So all these match. So it must be true, right? That's got to be true. No, it's not true. So I've got my global solar power meter from Solar Meter, and this one reads a little bit different. This one doesn't have a max hold either. So we're going to hold it up. Hold her up here, and last I checked it was about 130. Are you seeing that? Maybe I'll 130, maybe. Yeah. So all of a sudden, this guy says 130. and all these say over 200. So how do you compare? This is 70 milliwatts per centimeter off, actually more, because those are over. How can you even correlate anything if you have something that's going to read 70 milliwatts per centimeter squared less? That's a huge difference in how you're going to dose it, how you're going to use it. And we're still in the solar power meters are reading falsely high. Now the last one we'll just check with the Sanwa laser power meter. This is the most affordable laser power meter. And again, when I wrote some blog posts, I checked it against my third-party measurements, and it seems to correlate very well. So this is great. So I'm going to hold it over here, and I can max hold it. Hold the max here. And yeah, I can get up to 39 milliwatts. So you see that 39 milliwatts, and this thing's kind of tricky because it's only reading milliwatts. I have to divide by the surface area of the sensor to convert it to milliwatts per centimeter squared, which I know is 0.636. Just do the radius and calculate that. So we're going to divide 39 by 0.636. 39 divided by 0.636. And then I need to multiply. There's a kind of a conversion table because they're aware that these meters have a calibration curve. You need to compensate for the wavelength that you're measuring. So we know we're doing 660, so I know that is 0.925. So we're going to multiply by 0.925. It's actually going to lower this because it's going to read falsely high the longer wavelength. So I'm going to lower that. So we get 56 milliwatts per centimeter squared. 56. So 56 milliwatts per centimeter squared coming out the red bulbs, and the infrared might be pretty similar, but it gets even more tricky because it starts to read kind of funky. So we're getting 56. All these other things said 200. One of them said 130. This says 56. So if somebody's advertising 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared based on a solar power meter, it might be a fourth of what they're advertising. So again, you buy this off Amazon, the intensity sounds great, you're going to get all these benefits, but you can't properly dose it because they're not giving you the right numbers. They're not sending it to a third party, they're not sending it to a properly calibrated lab, they're just measuring it from whatever cheap solar power meter they can find. And that's probably fine for a grow light industry that they probably have solar power meters just to check their grow lights and compare their grow lights. You can't compare it to the thousands of studies of clinical studies. They don't use solar power meters to measure it. They use properly calibrated either laser power meters or photo spectrometers. And you can't do it. So again, I run into this problem all the time. People ask me, how's your product compared to this product? I say, well, first off, you don't know what you're getting. I can't compare my product to your product because I get mine calibrated, and your product could be false advertising by over 2 or 4x. And so anyway, we can quickly do a quick measurement on my red bulbs with the laser power meter. Get it right close. I'll hold it. Okay, so it says 26.8. Oop, I lost it. Yeah, so we get 26. You can see that. Oops, start this off. So you can see 26. So I'll quickly do that math. But you can already tell it's significantly lower. 26 divided by 0.636 times 0.925. So it's 37. And so what did I get about in the 40s on this, or 50s? I got in the 50s. This is 37. At the site of the bulbs. So admittedly, the beam is probably a little bit less power. I'm fine with that. A little bit less intensity is fine. You don't need too much. That's the other thing I have to try to re-educate people on. How much power do you actually need? So anyway, so I admit it's maybe a little bit lower, but you can't compare. It's almost impossible to compare unless you have the right tools, and you know, you can't compare apples to apples. So unfortunately, that's kind of the situation the entire industry is in. Everyone's claiming 100 milliwatts, over 100 milliwatts, but they're using the wrong equipment. All right, so we beat the intensity to death. Now we're going to go into the flicker. So just like EMFs, a lot of people don't want flicker, especially if you're aiming at your face, you're getting in your eyes. You know, I had someone write me, they're like, oh, well, Dr. Hamblin says, you know, flicker's probably okay, and maybe it's a form of pulsing. And I say, okay, yeah, that's kind of true, but he's talking about a properly administered laser where they're probably just pressing into the skin. None of this light is going in my eyes, so none of that flicker is going into my eyes. If you're using a full body light, a lot of it's going to, at 6 inches away, a lot of it ends up in your eyes. It messes with your eyes, messes with your brain, could make you dizzy, could make all kinds of messed up stuff. So if you're using this for facial benefits, or you're using it some inches away like you're kind of supposed to, you know, you're getting a lot of that flicker into your eyes, and this messes with your brain. So how much flicker? Well, let's see. I've got my Radex Lupin. This is a really sweet little device, only like 125 on Amazon, and I tested it out. And we'll just hold it a few inches away, and you'll probably see I got, yeah, in the, like 45. So maybe you can see better. Should be about 45, 40s. So let's say it's 40. Let's round down. It's 40. The IEE says you want to be below 9% to be relatively safe. Anything higher than 9, they say is high risk. It's a high risk zone. So this is way beyond. Way beyond. It's too much. So it's a problem. And again, we're going to look at the GembaRed Beam. Let's bring this over. And give it a second to stabilize. You probably see it should be less than 1. Last time I checked, it's around 1. It should be less than 1, but maybe I'm shaking too much. Yeah, if you give it a second, and if I'm not shaking enough, it should be less than 1. Right? So again, the contrast, that's the important part. We can be less than 1 here. We can be, you know, 40s here, and flicker percentage. You know, there's a huge gap in quality and safety, in how you're going to use it, and convenience. So that's, you know, again, that's a huge gap driving it. And getting accurate intensity measurements so you can actually dose it properly. If you don't care about all that, then, you know, again, this is a clever little, cheap little hack. At least you have the information. You can purchase, you know, whatever you think is right for you. What else do I have? We did flicker. We did EMFs. EMFs are high. Flicker's high. Intensity, we don't know. It's probably, you know, realistically in the 50s, right? If at the surface. So, you know, again, you really need to be more skeptical. I don't buy medical devices on Amazon. I try not to buy my electronics on Amazon unless I know it's an authorized distributor. Try to get my stuff, you know, from legit sources. So again, this could be a really clever hack, but I personally don't see it when we can do better, right? You need to spend your money voting, you know, you spend your money. It's kind of like the organic industry, right? You need to vote with your dollars on higher quality things. You need to demand from industry and from manufacturers higher quality stuff. So if you find you have something low quality, you need to write a complaint. You need to tell them, hey, I'm not happy with this quality. I think you can do better. And my problem is that I can't do better with this style of light because there's not enough room to get a high quality driver in this format, and you can't ground it. So it's always going to have those EMF issues. It's always going to be awkward to try to use with the, you know, with the electrical safety. It just doesn't work out for me. This is much more convenient and safe. It's a responsible amount of power. It's a responsible way to set it up and use it. That's the real key for me. So again, hopefully this helps, really drive home some of the key features you need to look for. You need to look for intensity. Hopefully it's accurate and lab measured. Otherwise, you're never going to know what you're getting. Intensity is great. You need to know EMFs, especially, again, relevant to how you're going to use it. A lot of people don't walk through like you're going to be holding it here and get a ton of EMFs. People don't realize you're getting all this. Oh, if I'm 6 inches away, I'm safe. You're holding it, all right? EMFs are a problem. Flicker is huge on this one. A lot of flicker might even mess up my video. Flicker, and that's about it. Obviously the size, convenience, portability, usability. You have to start really thinking these things through rather than just buying whatever is cheap or whatever is marketed flashy. So hopefully that helps. And if you have any more questions about different types of lights or this light, we can do more testing in the future. Thanks.